Welcome back. The colder temperatures have many of us craving heartier meals, meat heavy meals like chilies and stews. But have you ever considered substituting in a vegetarian meal instead? Here to showcase cozy veggie fall meals from his latest cookbook, Flavor, please welcome celebrated chef and restaurateur Yotam Ottolenghi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, in your latest cookbook, you focus really on vegetarian meals. In fact, a lot of your recipes really do include this vegetarian slant, but you yourself are not a vegetarian. So, tell us about your philosophy when it comes to vegetarian meals.
I just love celebrating vegetables in all their wonder and color and flavors. And for me, it's never been about the label. It's always been about how delicious what it is that you're cooking. And I think vegetables are just have got so much potential in them for flavor that it doesn't really matter. And I think it's got more potential actually than meat to play around with and create real transformation. And the book Flavor is just all about transforming vegetables and injecting them with even more flavor than you can imagine.
I love that. And let's start with your stuffed eggplant in curry and coconut dal because this sounds amazing and I see it, I believe, and it looks amazing. And can we start with the dal? It's a popular, of course, Indian lentil dish, but I've actually never made it at home. Can you take us through it?
A dal is a very simple thing to make, and it's one of the most common and popular and delicious dishes in the world. It's made out of lentils or dried beans, any one of the legumes that doesn't need soaking. And
Mhm.
it's cooked often with a bunch of spices. It would almost always have onions and garlic, and then a bunch of spices that vary from time to time. Often you find curry paste, cumin, coriander, turmeric, but garlic, uh, onion, and ginger are often there. This dal has coconut milk as well,
Hmm.
and chilies. And the secret ingredient or the extra bonus ingredient here are the curry leaves. I'll pick one up from the garnish. These little beautiful
Oh,
things
nice.
uh, are are called curry leaves. So we use them both in the base for the dal and as a garnish on top. They fry a bit in oil and then add it. They become a little bit crispy and they give a really wonderful curry flavor.
I have a feeling that another secret ingredient that's packing a punch is the paneer. Any hot tips on buying paneer?
Well, there's softer paneers and and harder drier paneers, and for this one, it's quite good to get one that is slightly hardier because it's easier to grate. But you can use the softer one as well. Crumble it. It doesn't really matter, and the paneer is actually really easy to make at home. All you need is milk and some lemon juice to curdle it. If you look online and look for the recipes, it's actually a very easy homemade cheese to make,
Okay.
like probably the first cheese you'd make. But you can also substitute this with ricotta. That's another thing. If you find that easier to find, that's also an option here.
Okay, so the next dish that you've brought is a portobello steak with butter bean mash. So before you tell us about
Mm.
this dish, I want to get your take on. I feel like this is something that comes up from time to time. There is this word policing around this idea of people who really don't like the idea of calling vegetarian foods that we associate with meat. So, for example, like veggie burger, and in this case, portobello steaks. So, what is your opinion?
So I get that. I get that. I think one of the problems is that if you are, and I'm on that camp of the argument, if you are someone who loves vegetables, you don't want to masquerade them as something else. There's no point in turning vegetables into a burger because vegetables are great and good enough as they are. But sometimes you use a word that is common in the meat world just to elucidate, to make it a little bit more clear what it is that you're talking about. And these portobello steaks, we call them steaks not because we think they taste like a steak or they want to be a steak. They are very happy to be what they are. But it's just it gives an idea of what it is that we're looking in the sense that they are substantial. That meatiness that when you have a steak, that's still here that exists in these portobello mushrooms. But they are really not. It's not about turning them into something that they're not. They're really wonderful as they are.
Okay, that case is closed, and I totally agree with you. To me, I'm perfectly fine with you calling this a steak. So let's, in fact, talk about this dish. How did you make it?
So the portobello mushrooms are slow cooked with spices. They've got cumin seeds, coriander seeds, onion and garlic, tomato paste, and they're kind of braising, so there's some liquid there as well. So you know how like normally often mushrooms kind of shrink and shrivel when you cook them? In a way, if you cook them in such a way, like slow cook them in with liquid in, they absorb some of that liquid with all the aromatics in it, and they get
Ah.
both flavor and a really nice texture. So they kind of keep their texture. And underneath there is a mash, which is made out of butter beans, big beans. You can use
Mm.
any white beans that are really quite simply made by blitzing together those beans together with some lemon juice, olive oil,
Mm.
and it's a real simple dish to make, and it's one of my favorite dishes. It's super delicious, easy to make.
Mm. It looks so good. And now we're moving on to the last dish, which is a dessert. You've brought along a berry platter with sheep milk lebne and orange
Mm.
oil. Will you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. So you could have that as a dessert, a really nice, delicious dessert at the end of a meal. But you can also, I think, you can serve it for breakfast or brunch, like as a substitute to
Yeah.
your, granola, yogurt, and fruit. So it's something that can double up as both. So it's got a fancy name, but actually you can make it with less fancier ingredients. So you don't need to use a sheep's yogurt. You can use a cow's yogurt as well. And labneh is really a short word for when the process in which you drain your yogurt from its liquid, so it becomes firmer and
Okay.
creamier. So often that's done by adding a bit of salt to your yogurt, and that's what we do here, and draining it in a cloth for overnight or a few hours, squeezing out the moisture out of that yogurt, so it becomes like a cream cheese, but with a tangy
Oh,
yogurt flavor.
wow.
Yeah, and you can just
Sorry.
use thick yogurt for it if you don't mind the texture. I love the reaction. So
Sorry.
that goes, so that goes on the bottom with some seasonal berries that are some of them are left whole and some of them are blitzed together, so you get kind of that mixture of whole berries and the puree. And then the kind of the curveball, if you like, is this oil that has got orange skin and thyme. And what it
Oh,
is like
wow.
it's yeah, and I'll show it up close. So it's a technique that
Mm.
we use a lot in the book, both for savory, but in this case, in a sweet dish.
Okay, so let's say you don't want to do the orange oil or you can't find it. Is there anything that we should substitute in?
Yeah, you don't need. First of all, it's great without the orange oil. You can drizzle it with a bit of plain olive oil if you like, if you don't want to. But you can also leave it as it is. It's absolutely fine as is. It's as luxurious as you want it to be. But I love the
Mm.
fact that it's got that celebration of berries, yogurt, and orange, which are really good and make a really good combination.
Chef Ottolenghi, thank you for bringing us these delicious and luxurious meals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget, everyone watching, Flavor. It is available now. And for more information on each of these dishes, be sure to check out our website after the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.